Welcome to the Pursuing Points podcast, where it's all about the pursuit of credit card points and miles today so that you can travel the world free of charge tomorrow. And now, your host, Peter Foti.
Hello, everyone, and welcome yet again to another Pursuing Points podcast. I'm your host, as always, Peter. And today on the podcast, you may have saw the title is Credit Card Spring Cleaning. And basically, some stuff happened with one of my cards that sort of prompted me to take action on some of my other older cards that I use a little bit less. And really, that's what today's episode is going to be about. Before I do that, I do want to just say, first of all, thank you. I've received a number of emails and tweets, direct messages from people asking me when the next episode is going to be and telling me how much they enjoy the show and whatnot. I didn't get permission to say their names necessarily, but I think that they know who they are. So thank you very much for reaching out. I do read everything and I will respond if I haven't already. As far as why there hasn't been an episode as of late, I tried to record a few, but I just didn't love the way that they sounded. I don't want them ever to be forced. So I really only want to talk to you guys, especially when I'm by myself, if I feel like I have really good content. And I am still working on getting guests for the show. If there is someone that you think would make for a good guest, please either refer them to me or send me an email and let me know. I do have some emails out to some other, what I would call, I guess, industry bloggers. And so hopefully I can get some of them on the show here, hopefully as early as Q1 2017. And as far as future episodes, I don't necessarily have a real cadence with how many episodes will be published and when they will be published. I think obviously one a week might be a lot for this type of content, but who knows? Some days I feel like I have a lot to say, whether it's because new cards are coming out or, some things in the industry are changing or I'm traveling more. And when I do, I want to bring that to the listeners. And when I don't, I'm less inclined to do that. So thank you for bearing with me. I appreciate your comments and your support. And I'm hopeful that in 2017, we're going to be able to bring you a lot more episodes. But for today's episode, I want to talk about, so again, credit card spring cleaning. And I realize it is kind of winter, but basically how this all started is I got a letter in the mail from Chase. And this letter came back in September. And it says, "Dear Peter Foti, we are writing to let you know that your credit card will close on its expiration date within the next 2 months. Your account has no balance, and we are closing it because it hasn't had any recent activity. You may use the card until it closes, but using your card will not keep it open." And then, they give you a little bulleted list about, reminders for closing your account, telling you to destroy the card, etc. And then it has a little blip in here about if your card earns rewards, check your rewards, etc. Sincerely, Lending Services. And the card that it's in reference to is my Chase Amazon.com Visa. So if you've listened to some of the previous episodes, you will know that I currently have had the Chase Amazon.com Visa, which is a card that I got about 4 years ago. And if you remember, it was it was the first rewards card that I ever got. So remember, I started off when I was 18 with a regional bank card with a very small limit. And then I got a Citizens Bank Mastercard. Neither of those offered any rewards. And then the Amazon.com Visa was my first rewards card. It made a ton of sense. I mean, at the time, I wasn't really traveling. I didn't really fully know. I didn't necessarily understand the whole points world the way I do now. And I shopped on Amazon all the time. So it earned 3% at Amazon, which was perfect for me. And back then, I used it quite a bit. Since then, I've used it essentially never. There has been some instances where Amazon has run promotions where if you use your Amazon.com Visa, you can get an additional discount. But by and large, the card sat in a drawer, not used. And really, it's my fault for receiving this letter in the sense that I chose not to ever use it. If I wanted to have kept it open, I could have used it from time to time. But I simply did not. So when I first got this letter, I was somewhat taken aback. Certainly, I don't think I was super happy about it when I first read it. I guess that was just my gut reaction, right? It was like, Chase, and I'll pat myself on the back a little bit. I do believe myself to be a pretty good credit card consumer, and I think I'm a good credit card holder for Chase, and I've certainly made them money as far as spending and paying my bills, etc. So I was a little bit surprised that they would do this. So my first reaction was to call and complain and argue and fight and try to get this decision reversed. Because if for no other reason, the fact that the card is about a little over 4 years old and my current average age is only 3 years. So losing this card would effectively ding my average age a bit. And I just didn't love the idea that they were going to do this without having given me any prior notice. But I thought about it, and I realized that I have a number of cards in my wallet that aren't providing me with real value on a daily basis. And it's okay to have a few cards like that, especially if they're your oldest lines of credit, or maybe they provide annual perks. For instance, I believe there's a Hilton card that gives you a free weekend night or weeknight on the account anniversary. And there's other cards that give you like points and nights and whatever on the account anniversary. So for stuff like that, it's okay. But, generally speaking, you don't want to have too many of those types of cards in your wallet just sitting there and doing nothing. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I think that one of them is that, the more cards you have, the more apt or susceptible you are to some sort of attack, whether it's, an identity theft situation, or, it's another thing that you could lose and someone could spend money on. And of course, the banks do a great job these days of protecting you and, alerting you of fraud and helping take action once it's occurred. But, I think it's important to streamline your wallet every so often so that you, aren't as susceptible to those types of risks. And really, for me, the Amazon.com Visa was a card I never used. I wasn't keeping it around as my oldest line of credit. And I really had no reason for it to be in my wallet other than the off chance that Amazon runs a promotion, which hasn't happened in some time. So I basically decided that, okay, I'm going to allow Chase to cancel this. I already shredded the card. I still see the account on my Chase online portal, but I expect it that, I received this letter back on September 12th. The next 2 months would have been November 12th. So I expect within the next few days here, it's going to disappear and be closed for good, which I'm okay with. And so this letter spurned some action on my part to take a look at my other credit cards and sort of make some moves. So the first thing that I did, and I've talked about this on the show before, I just hadn't done it yet, but I had the Chase Sapphire Preferred, which for those of you who may not know, so the Sapphire Preferred earns 1 point per dollar on everything, and then 2 points per dollar on dining and travel. But it's sort of bested by the Chase Sapphire Reserve, which offers $3 3 points on dining and travel, as well as some other perks that I really value, including a $300 yearly travel credit. So what I had talked about doing was downgrading my Sapphire Preferred to the Chase Freedom Unlimited. The Freedom Unlimited is a no-fee card, no annual fee card. And, of course, the Sapphire Preferred is a $95 annual fee, which was coming up for renewal, I believe, in December 2016 for me. So I knew I didn't want to pay that annual fee because I don't necessarily use the card and I don't value it because I have the reserve. The Freedom Unlimited earns 1.5 points per dollar on everything. And so long as you have an Ultimate Rewards earning card, you can take those points and combine them. So I'll be able to take whatever points I earn from the Freedom Unlimited and combine them with my Chase Sapphire Reserve point balances. And that, as far as redemption goes, the Sapphire Reserve, of course, it allows you to redeem at a minimum 1.5 points per dollar if you do it for travel through the portal. And then, of course, you can transfer it to various programs and whatnot. But basically, that was kind of a pretty easy decision for me to make. because again, in pretty much every way, the Sapphire Reserve is better than the Sapphire Preferred. And it was really interesting, and I've mentioned this before, that Chase would sort of cannibalize like their own card in that way. Because for anyone who really does the math, right, the Reserve has a $450 annual fee, but you get a $300 travel credit. So effectively, the annual fee is $150. And the Sapphire Preferred is $95. So there's a $55 delta there, which means you basically just have to earn more than $55 in cash back to come out ahead with the Reserve. And with the 3 points per dollar on dining and travel, I think for most people that's achievable. So no more Sapphire Preferred, downgrade to the Freedom Unlimited. Amazon.com Visa's canceled. And then I went through the rest of my wallet. And one of the things that I did was I took my regional bank card and my Citizens Mastercard that I got, again, those are 6 and 7, 8 years ago, and I just put small charges on them. And this is something I do yearly anyway, but I wanted to make sure I did it specifically in this case. So I spent a small amount of money, between $5 and $30. I waited for the account to cycle just so I would have a new statement. And then once it did, I paid off the bill in full. So that's for both that regional bank, my first ever card, my oldest line of credit, as well as my Citizens Bank MasterCard, which is also like 6 or 7 years old. So those are the anchors of my credit score. And I didn't want to receive a similar letter from either of those banks. So spent a little money, paid it off, and hopefully that'll keep the wheels turning on those. So then I have a few other cards that I would like to cancel. I didn't get rid of all of them. So the first one I did, actually the only one in this case, is the Discover It. So I've had the Discover It for 2 years. And I think that the Discover It is a great card from a cashback perspective, especially for someone who maybe doesn't travel a whole lot or wants a bit more like a simpler earning structure and redemption structure. The Discover It's a great card. It offers very similar customer service to what Chase does with their premium cards, and it doesn't have an annual fee. So if you're looking to get started, especially with just cashback, the Discover It is a great option. For me, when I got it 2 years ago, I got it right around this exact time. Because they had a pretty significant sign-up bonus. It was something like spend $1,000, get $250 back, so 25% effectively, which was great. So I signed up for it back then, but I haven't used it since. And the reason I haven't used it since is that it earns 1 point per dollar, which is effectively 1% cash back per dollar. On every purchase. And then it also has rotating categories, which offer 5% per dollar up to $1,500. So $75 in cash back per quarter. For instance, in this quarter, which is the quarter ending at the end of December, the categories are Amazon.com, department stores, and Sam's Club. The thing is, the Chase Freedom mimics that same earning structure. And like I said, when you have a card like the Freedom paired with a card like the Reserve, you can combine those point balances. So I can take the points that I'm earning with the Freedom, transfer them to my Reserve, and then take advantage of some of that more valuable redemption, some of those more valuable redemption options. So for me, the Discover It, once I unlocked that initial sign-up bonus, really provided me with no value. I don't use it. And rather than receive one of these letters, I figured I would just call them. So what I did, and I recommend that people do this, right? This is something I think you should do whenever you're thinking about canceling a card. I called up and I simply said, listen, I really appreciate the Discover It card. I do believe that it's a good product, but I'm actually calling today to cancel unless Discover has some sort of promotional offer that will allow me to earn additional cash back. And that's really all I said. The first person I spoke to transferred me to a specialist who was actually in Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm recording this about 7 a.m., so she was on the phone with me at 5 a.m., so I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Discover. I thought that was great, and she was very friendly, very helpful. So got me over to the specialist. She ran me through, of course, the basic structure as far as earning goes, and obviously I understand all that's great. And then she came back and said, if you spend $1,000 within the next 90 days, we'll give you a $100 statement credit. And that's, of course, in addition to the 1% cash back as well as the 5% on the categories. And I should correct it. It's not necessarily a statement credit. It's $100 in cash back. So you could apply it as a statement credit. You could get a gift card. You could donate to charity. However you want to, use it, you could. And I thought that was incredible. So this, again, is a card with no annual fee. And they were willing to effectively give me a 10% cashback bonus on the next $1,000 that I spend, which obviously stacks with the 1% and the 5% that I'm going to be earning when I spend money elsewhere. And frankly, I mean, I could just buy a $1,000 Amazon gift card, right? I mean, I shop on Amazon all the time. That'll last me at least a year. And on that purchase, I'll effectively unlock my $100 cash back. So now that card only cost me $900. I get the 5% for $50. I get the 1% for $10. So that $1,000 gift card effectively only cost me $840. So I was a bit surprised. Usually you don't see retention offers like that on no fee cards, but I really think Discover is really trying, and I think they're doing a good job of establishing themselves in this hyper competitive credit card marketplace. They're going about it in a different way, right? They're not necessarily catering or going after what I would call like a higher end customer, but their customer service is great. The cards look nice. They have good earning structures, and they were willing to do this. So I accepted the offer, of course. So I'm going to put that card in my wallet for the next however many days I need to, unless of course I decide to actually spend $1,000 on Amazon, and then, I'll be able to take advantage of that. So the other cards that I would have liked to have considered canceling are the Bank of America cashback card. And this was the card I've talked about before. I don't really know why I signed up for this. I just know that I did when I got a new bank account with Bank of America. And then I've also got the Buffalo Bills Barclay card. And both of those cards will be on the chopping block come Q1 2017. The only reason I didn't want to call after the Discover It card was that if they offer me a retention bonus, I don't want to have to juggle too many of those at the same time. So I'm going, and again, both of those cards are no annual fee. So I'm not necessarily under a time crunch with either of those. So what I want to do now is just unlock this bonus offer with Discover, take advantage of the retention offer that they gave me, and then come Q1 2017, go ahead and give Bank of America as well as Barclays a call and just say basically the same exact thing. Listen, I really appreciate these cards, et cetera, calling today to cancel unless you have some sort of retention offer that you might be able to offer me. And you can go about it in your own way, but, they will work with you. And if they don't, I mean, what's the worst that happen, right? They're just going to say no, and that's fine. But, you owe it to yourself to at least ask and see what they can give you and then go from there. So what else? So other than that, we're about 18 minutes in. And basically to round out the year, I will reach Delta Platinum medallion status, which was sort of unexpected. I almost considered doing a podcast about that because basically what was going to happen is I was going to end the year right around 74,000 MQMs, and you need 75, of course, for Platinum. The cool thing about Delta is that you can roll over excess MQMs. So I could have started 2017 with 24,000 and just stuck with gold status, or of course I could have done a mileage run, ended up over 75,000. So I'd have Platinum with far fewer rollover miles. As it turns out, I'm taking a trip for work, so that will put me over the edge for Platinum, and I'll roll over, I think, about 2,000 or 3,000 MQMs into 2017. As far as what my credit card portfolio is going to look like in 2017, it's not totally nailed down. Right now, like I said, I still have the Delta Platinum Amex, which is sort of a daily driver for me because it allows me to earn those MQMs, which helps me with the status. I've got the Sapphire Reserve, which of course is the card that I use the most for dining and travel. And then, I did the podcast about the Amex Platinum, and unfortunately that didn't really work out for me at the time. Some of the feedback that I've gotten from listeners has been, sign up for the Mercedes-Benz Amex Platinum, you should be able to get a bonus on that. Check out the Ameriprise Financial Amex Platinum. You might be able to get a bonus on that. So, I really do appreciate that feedback. Those aren't necessarily things I would have thought to have done, but I may give that a try. And of course, as with pretty much every card I ever get from now on, I will be applying for it live on the show so we can talk through that whole process. So I haven't necessarily decided what I'm going to do there. And of course, there's always the Delta Reserve from Amex, which gets you the lounge access, because it's a thing that I really value. And frankly, it's getting to the point where I'm almost considering just buying myself a lounge membership, irrespective of whatever cards that I've got in my wallet. Because there's so many times that I would make use of it, but I'm only really ever willing to pay the $29 if I have a really long layover, like say greater than an hour and a half or so, maybe 2 hours, which happens infrequently, right? The more likely scenarios that I'm in the airport, I've got a 30 to 45 minute layover, I can hit the lounge to grab a bite and then move on to my gate. But right now that opportunity doesn't really present itself to me because I have to pay $29 just to walk in the place. So, still angling for a way to get myself that lounge access. Could just be buying it outright. Could be a new card. We'll see. And that's about it. So thank you all for listening. And like I said at the beginning, if you know someone who would make for a great guest, let me know. If you have a suggestion for me, let me know. I respond to all of your emails. And again, I really appreciate the feedback and hope everyone is having a happy holidays. Thank you.